Hey, what is going on, you guys? It is Mr. No Sleep here from Old School RuneScape, and welcome to a brand new video for you all today. So in today's video, I have for you guys loot from 1000 Kraken. Now, most of you guys do know this, but for those who don't know, this is a Slayer task only monster, which means you can only kill the Kraken, both the small version and the large version, when you are assigned it as a Slayer task. Now, the Slayer masters that do assign Kraken go from Neve to Steve to Duradel, all the way over to Konar, and for this video, I did decide to use Konar the whole time, and unfortunately for me, to get assigned my very first Kraken task, it did take just over 1600 Slayer points. Now, when I was starting this video, I did have just about 2300 Slayer points, so I did think that I had enough Slayer points in order to get this video done in one go without having to point boost or anything like that. However, I was definitely stressed out, and I was not too sure if I was going to be able to complete it, certainly not after spending as many points as I had to in order to get our first task. Now, with all that stress, that kind of leads me to giving a shout out to another sponsor that I've had for quite a while on Twitch, and I figured I'd give them a shout out for the very first time on YouTube. So this sponsor is actually a friend of mine's company that he started a while back, and the name is SoothLife.com. Now, for the next 7 days after this video is uploaded, they do have a discount code called NoSleep20, and that gives you 20% off any product or anything on the website. And they do have quite a variety of things on the site, including vaporizers, lotions, oils, creams, as well as gummies. So yeah, feel free to check it out. The link will be in the description below. And a big shout out to the guy who actually made this company. He's an Iron Man in RuneScape and a longtime friend of mine, so much love to him. And with that being said, that should be the last sponsor that I'll talk about in a video for at least a few months. I definitely don't want to wear it out for you guys, and I do appreciate you guys just chilling with it and not disliking the video, because got a lot of great support on the last upload, and that was really surprising. So thank you guys for being so open about everything lately, and let's get into today's video. Now, in order to keep track of every single kill throughout this video, starting from 0 to 1000, I did decide to use the Slayer kill log and simply reset my Kraken kill streak from 800 or whatever it was to 0, and then whenever that 0 was to hit 1000, we would certainly know that we would be done with the video. As shown on screen here, I was using the fairy ring method to reach the Kraken Cove, which is where this boss is located, as well as all of the other cave Kraken and water fiends can also be found here. Basically, using a Drayman staff or a lunar staff, you can use a fairy ring anywhere in the game and just type in the code AKQ, and that'll bring you just east of the cove. Then you can just run west and you'll be there in no time. You can also use a Piscator's teleport scroll or a Western Banner 3 or 4 if you've done the diaries, which unfortunately I have not. So a mistake that I made in the very first 100 kills of this video was I was bringing prayer potions and praying magic as well as augury. At first I was praying magic, and then I decided to just pray augury after that, but quickly I realized that you definitely do not need to have prayer pots here. No matter what happens, you are going to be taking some damage from the Kraken boss himself, as well as the tentacles that surround it. So clearly you don't need to bring prayer, you're just going to waste some money if you do that. Another tip that my Twitch chat made me aware of this week was that you can use a staff that you get from raids 2 that people in short call the Sang staff. And what this staff does, obviously you need a lot of blood runes to charge it and higher magic, but if you have it equipped, you can save yourself all of the food in your inventory and pretty much stay here for a very long amount of time. I'm not too sure if you ever have to bank when you're doing this method, but I do know that this staff, as well as using a blowpipe to attack the tentacles with spec on, can definitely heal your HP over time, and you can extend your trips by, I'd say, quite a bit compared to if you use a Trident of the Seas or a Trident of the Swamp. Now, I do know personally that this staff is being over 150 mil, not a lot of people can use it, especially at Kraken, and a lot of people just kind of like to chill and AFK Kraken and make some money, so I did decide to use the Trident of the Swamp method. I just kind of like to go with the majority method so that a lot of you guys can kind of feel relatable to whatever the supplies are used in this video. Just like my last video, anytime that my Trident of the Swamp did run out of charges, I would recharge it on videos so I could keep track of the runes and the Zora scales that I use for the supply cost at the very end. And the only other items that I did actually use that cost me money was Bracelets of Slaughter, which really didn't cost me that much. These bracelets are simply used to extend a Slayer task. Really does come in handy when you're focusing on a loot from 1000 video and you don't have a lot of Slayer points to spare. And of course, the only other supply that I was using was sharks, which really don't cost that much at the end of the day. Now, as you can see, the first drop that we did receive from the Kraken boss was the Tentacle, which is just about 543k. Believe it or not, these actually used to be very, very cheap. I believe they actually used to be under 100k, so I'm glad that they definitely went up in price, but I wish they were a little bit more. The only other rare drop from this boss, the tradable drop wise, is the Trident of the Seas, which is full. Obviously, the smaller Cave Kraken version dropped the uncharged Trident. A lot of Ironman accounts, you know, mainly focus on those smaller versions when they're first trying to get their Trident, but if you ever want the full staff, which is worth just over 1 mil, then of course you have to kill the boss version. Now, the final two rare drops that do come from the boss Kraken is the Jar of Dirt, which is 1 in 1000, and the Pet Kraken, which is 1 in 3000. Now, if you guys remember, the last time I got a pet on this account was during 1000 Hydra, and we did receive the pet pretty early, and go figure, in this video, ladies and gentlemen, we did receive the pet. You know, the Kraken pet is one of my favorite pets in the game, right alongside the Armadillo pet, so I was very, very excited to get this. The clip was actually posted of me getting this clip on a RuneScape highlights channel just about 3 days ago, so for those of you guys who did see this already, I'm sorry that it was spoiled on a RuneScape highlight channel. There's unfortunately nothing I could do about that. I have asked the guy to stop posting clips of me, but he still does it, so therefore, you know, some people will see the, I guess, highlights of these loot videos, I guess, a little bit early, but at the end of the day, there's just certain things on the internet that you can't control, so it is what it is. But needless to say, I was very excited to get this pet so early on, and I did decide to leave it out with me after I insured it, of course, which you can do in Arty, and it only cost about 500k. That way, if you die, you can always get it back, and for the remainder of the video, I did keep it alongside me throughout the whole thing, so that was pretty cool. And less than 100 kills later, we did pick up our second Kraken Tentacle, which was nice to see. And if you're curious as to why there are platinum tokens in the bottom right of the inventory, what I wanted to do with all of the coins that I got from this Kraken video, instead of just kind of consistently using them for instances, which I was doing the whole entire time, which I'll get into in a little bit, I just wanted to keep track of all of the coins, so every time I would go bank the loot from the inventory, I would use all the coins on the bank and I would convert them into platinum tokens. Therefore, I could just keep track of them that way. I found it much easier rather than just kind of keeping track with the coin stack involved. Now, another 100 kills did go by, and this time I did receive our third Kraken Tentacle of the video. This point, still no Trident or anything like that, but I was, you know, really seeing the money add up with the tentacles, so that was nice to see. And if you're curious what an instance is, when you arrive at this Kraken boss, you do have the option to go ahead and hop a bunch of different worlds, and if you see that, you know, there's nobody inside the cove, then you can use it yourself, and there's no instance involved. However, if you don't want to spend the time doing that, because, you know, there is usually a lot of people doing Kraken, then you do have the option to pay 25k directly from your bank. It just kind of goes out of your bank. You don't have to bring it in your inventory or anything, and you get your own instance where you can drop a lot of the sharks that you get that are drops, you know, from Kraken, and you essentially just have more privacy. However, the downside is you do have to pay 25k, and if you die, you do lose everything. I actually had a good friend of mine lose 110 mil at Kraken just about 2 months ago, so it can happen. You just have to be very observant. You know, do keep in mind that the Kraken, although its hits are not that accurate, the max hit from the boss is a 28, and the tentacles can stack on a little bit of damage as well. So just make sure you're above 50 HP, and most of the time you should be alright. Now, something worth pointing out, since I was using Konar as my Slayer Master, one drop that you may not receive if you're using Duradel or Neve or Steve is a Brimstone Key. Now, I've already done a video about Brimstone Keys, so I'm sure most of you guys know what they do, but that is one drop that you do get as a bonus for having Konar as your master rather than the other masters while getting assigned Kraken or any other task. Speaking of drops, here is one of the last rare ones that we did receive. Not only did we get the pet earlier on in the video, but just a few hundred kills later, we did receive the Jar of Dirt, which, like I mentioned before, is 1 in 1000, so it was very surprising to see almost every single drop from the Kraken boss himself, minus, of course, the full Trident of the Seas. Now, I was, you know, looking forward to getting this, but looking at the price now, it's just about 980k. I think earlier I mentioned that it's over 1 mil, but you can kind of see that a lot of the rares tradable wise from this boss are really not that valuable. I would definitely say that the Kraken is more popular for the pet, and especially for Ironman accounts, in order to unlock the Trident, which is one of the truly most important magic weapons in the game. And certainly you can kind of see the drop table being a little bit different compared to other high level Slayer monsters. Now, this was actually the last task of the video, and having virtually no Slayer points left, I was actually able to get a back-to-back task for the very first time, and that was extraordinarily lucky. But that is one of the perks of having 99 Slayer, is that having a Slayer cape equipped, in this case it was a max cape with the same perk, you do have that ability while using any Slayer master to get a reroll, a second chance at the same exact task that you just got done doing. So I was very excited to wrap up this video not having to use any more Slayer points and not actually having to boost at all during this video, and that was truly a huge time saver, so I was happy to see that. And overall, starting this video with 2,300 Slayer points and also getting a bonus of 400, this video actually took just about 2,600 Slayer points total to do 1,000 Kraken. So I would say that that's kind of average. You know, I definitely had some pretty bad luck in the very beginning, but nevertheless, I think it was worth it. You know, we did put another pet in the collection log, got another pet overall on the account, so that was awesome to see. Unfortunately, no Trident of the Seas drop. That's alright. I'm not an Iron Man. I don't need it anyway, but, you know, nevertheless, 3 tentacles, 1 pet, and 1 jar of dirt. You know, looking at all of the brimstone keys as well in 1000 Kraken kills, we did receive just about 10 keys. Not a single clue scroll, unfortunately. I know you guys like seeing the clues, and I do as well. The drop rate of those are pretty uncommon here at Kraken. But yeah, you can kind of see that we did get a decent amount of brimstone keys since the combat level of the Kraken is 291. It really does increase those odds, and overall we did make just about 900k to about a mil from just those brimstone keys. Certainly a nice bonus, and it will help pay for the cost of supplies as well. Speaking of the cost of supplies, in total with the charging of the Trident, that's the Death Runes, Chaos Runes, Zora Scales, as well as the Fire Runes, that all came out to be just about 5.1 mil. And as it goes for the Sharks, as well as the Bracelets of Slaughter, I believe that all came out to be just about 400k. So if you add in all of that, I would say just about 5.5 mil in supply costs. Now that's really not too bad, and now that we've done all of the supplies, let's go ahead and price check all of the loot from 1000 Kraken kills. Now the first price check is all of the items. You know, this includes the runes, the coins, the seeds, the mystic, as well as the supplies and resources, and everything does come out to be just about 19.4 mil. Really not too bad. You know, as you can see, the drops, some of them not that valuable, but others really do make up for that. So it's nice to see we got a decent amount of Sandfuse serums as well as magic seeds, decent amount of raw monkfish, you know, all of these random items that really do add up over time. And here we are at the second price check, which is the jar of dirt as well as the 3 Kraken tentacles that we did receive. And this price check did come out to be 1.6 mil. So if we go ahead and add the normal drops, which are 19.4 mil, to the rare drops, which is 1.6 mil, it does come out to be 21 mil from loot from 1000 Kraken. Of course, adding another 1 mil with the brimstone keys and minusing just about 5.5 mil from the overall price check from the cost of supplies. Overall, the profit margin is looking like 16.5 mil overall. And how long did this take? You know, that's like the #1 question I always get with these loot videos. Less than 2 days. I would say in total playtime, you know, I'm known to AFK a lot, so my hourly rates definitely are different from the average player. Hour-wise, you're looking like less than 15, so it's really good kills per hour, all depending on, of course, what you use. But with that Trident setup and with 99 magic as well as an imbued heart and augury until you run out of prayer points, you know, the kills per hour are pretty decent. So less than 2 days to make 16.5 mil. Of course, this is not the average money-making method for most people, seeing as you do need Slayer points to get this task assigned consistently. So I wouldn't ever recommend Kraken it to make money, but just keep in mind, if you ever get it as a Slayer assignment, you're definitely not going to lose money. And I think that's very important to know. And to, of course, appeal to the PvP side of the community, you know, I had to do about 2 hours of whatever the hell you'd call this. I just put on a reindeer hat since there isn't a Kraken mask in the game, and I would just change the name, ask people what's Kraken. Yeah, I don't know. This was at like 3 a.m. last night. I'm pretty weird for this, but hey man, just gotta kill some time somehow. But anyways, thank you guys very much for watching the video. I hope you check out the description, and I'll see you guys in about a week with a new video labeled Loot from 100 Hours of Wilderness Slayer. Until then guys, take it easy. Mr. No Sleep out.